Evening, everyone. Welcome. We have a full house tonight. Welcome, everyone. We have a great meeting in store for you tonight. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Vallecitos Water District for Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the boardroom. Before we start, the meeting will now come to order. Forgot to bang the gavel. I got so excited seeing all your faces out there. Before we begin, I'd like to read the public announcement. Members of the public may watch the meeting live via computer or smart device by going to the district's website and clicking on the Watch Live icon. However, they will not be able to participate in the meeting remotely. Members of the public may also listen to the meeting live on their phone by dialing 888-788-0099 toll-free or 877-853-5247, also toll-free. When prompted, enter the meeting ID and passcode displayed on the district's website. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Ms. Dawn McDougall to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we will take attendance. Directors, please indicate your presence. Great, and we are all here. Thank you. District Engineer Hubbard, do we have any additions to the agenda?
We do not.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Move to approve.
Director Hernandez, Director Elitharp seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any public speakers tonight?
We do not, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to presentations. The board will now recognize new hires, staff achievements, and group organization awards during the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2024.
All right, thank you, Madam President. I'll be presenting this item, and of course, management's very excited to present to you the new hires and the accomplishments of our employees. As you know, there's a workforce shortage in the water and sewer industry, so Denise and her team worked very hard to bring us the absolute best, and we'd like to bring this item to you every quarter, and we're thankful for the board for their continued support in making Vallecitos a great place to work. So with that, we have 3 new hires this quarter. The first person is Licia He, and she is our new GIS specialist. Licia joins us from the private sector. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering, a Master's in lightning science, and a PhD. She's filling a new position that was vacated when one of our GIS technicians retired in 2022, and it has been unfilled since. We reclassified that position, and we're happy to have her on the Vallecitos team. So,
happy to be here. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, our next employee is Emmanuel Olivas, and he's our new wastewater treatment plant operator. And Emmanuel joins us from the Rainbow Municipal Water District. We stole him over to our team. He has prior experience in collections and constructions and has completed his certificate of wastewater technology at Palomar College, which we love to support.
Great.
This position became vacant when an employee left for advancement at another agency, but the treatment plant's very happy to have another pair of hands on their team. So welcome, Emmanuel. I don't know if Emmanuel's here.
Is he
not here
here
today. Okay.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you.
All right. And our third new employee, this is his first day, is Julian Rivendera. Hopefully I got that name right. Julian is our new safety and training specialist, and Julian joins us from the private sector as well. He worked for 10 years as a safety officer overseeing federal contractors. Prior to that, he was in the Navy, and this position became vacant in May due to the retirement of the previous specialist. So welcome, Julian, to the Vallecitos family. All right, and next we have some accomplishments. We've got 3 employee accomplishments I want to recognize. The first is Chris Tapia, who is in the back there. Yes. So Chris is our meters services supervisor, and he received his bachelor's degree in business administration at the University of Arizona's Global Campus. And he received, double win, received his D3 certification from the State Water Resources Control Board. So
Wow.
when I was...
Congratulations.
So Chris has been working on this degree on and off for 20 years, so hats off to
Wow.
him for making this accomplishment.
Congratulations.
And when I was talking to him about this, he said that one of the things that helped motivate him was the fact that the district has a tuition reimbursement program for its employees, and he attributes that to getting him across the finish line. So congratulations, Chris.
Excellent.
Our next employee recognition is Allison Fisher. She's returning from a training seminar today, so she's normally here at these meetings, but she's not. She's our capital facilities senior engineer, and she received her bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of North Dakota, and she's been working on this for some time. And anybody who knows Allison knows she's very tenacious, and we're very excited that she's met this goal. So thank you, Allison, for keeping at it. And lastly is Craig Durbin, who I don't think I see, but Craig Durbin was the wastewater collection supervisor worker too. He's been in that position for 20 years here at the district. And in the last 9 months, he's been filling in at the warehouse because that particular position retired about 9 months ago. And he was just promoted to a new position, a maintenance services worker, which the duties also include warehouse duties. So congratulations to Craig on his promotion. And that's the end of the presentation.
Okay, great. And I believe our next presentation is Mr. Chris Palmer with CSDA, who will present the district with a recertification of our Transparency Certificate of Excellence.
Yeah, and I want to welcome
Welcome,
Chris. I want to welcome Chris to the district, and it's an important, a prestigious recertification that the district continues to work on, and I believe we've had it now 5 times since I think 2014. And I want to give an extra special thanks to Chris and his team who puts in the application. It's a lot of hard work. And I also want to give a thanks to the board because it's really your leadership, the policy of the board, and your predecessors who really creates the situation that we can receive this certification. So I'll give it over to the Chris's.
So Chris, can I go real quick?
Yeah,
So,
of course.
Just briefly, this is really a team effort. It's the district as a whole, which includes the board of directors and the trainings that you've all taken, that gets us this transparency. Lisa Urabe, who works for me, keeping our website up to date, and a whole transparency page on the website dedicated to the requirements for the Transparency Certificate of Excellence. It's a lift to keep that up and organized and up to date. I need to throw a shout out to our finance department and Wes. He's not here today, he's on vacation. It's summertime. But a lot of the reporting that gets done is important in that there's requirements that we report things to the state, and the finance department takes care of all that documentation. So in closing, the Transparency Certificate of Excellence that we submitted was 594 pages of documentation. So just a big PDF to have to handle. And then I would be remiss if I did not also throw a shout out to Rick Rangatis at the Chamber of Commerce and Brett Hodgkiss over at Vista Irrigation District. They served as the reviewers to actually review it, because you need another agency to review your paperwork and make sure it's all legit. And they both signed the documentation that we submitted as part of the whole submittal package. So, that was some tedious work for them to do and make sure that we were able to achieve this transparency certificate. So, Chris, now it's your turn.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to your staff. It is an arduous task, 594 pages. I didn't realize it was even that lengthy. So I'd like to give it up for the staff for doing such great work. Your district is probably doing all these things, but compiling all this information, going through the process is a lot of work. And of course, the board leads, but the staff really has to put all that together. So kudos to staff. So good evening. My name is Chris Palmer. I'm the Senior Public Affairs Field Coordinator for the California Special Districts Association. I represent all of Southern California, which includes
Southern Network, which is San Diego County. Anytime you have an event here, I'm happy to come to San Diego. So I'm based in Orange County, but love me some San Diego. So it's my privilege to be here today and recognize you. But today I'm wearing my Special District Leadership Foundation hat to honor your district in earning the Transparency Certificate of Excellence. So the Special Districts Leadership Foundation, it is our 501c3 educational arm of CSDA that has all these types of accreditation programs, including Transparency Certificate of Excellence. I know you guys are also District of Distinction. You're working on renewing that. I know we have a somewhat new GM, so I think the new GM has some work to do to make it happen. It's not you?
It's not me.
Well, it should, but, but yeah, to get that qualification, it's not only the board that has to fulfill all these obligations, but staff and your GM in particular. So, and so this is dedicated to promoting excellence in special districts through recognitions programs like I just talked about. So the district transparency, I'm getting old, got to go to the glasses now. So this program was created in 2013 as an effort to promote transparency in the operations and governance of special districts. So you can showcase this to your constituents, to the public, and it provides you an opportunity to let everyone know, hey, we are transparent, we are wide open and accessible. So I don't think I need to tell anyone in this room why transparency is important. First of all, it allows for accountability, right? Now, the public has a right to access and a right to open government, and special districts, regardless of type, size, are public agencies that use public money for public services. So transparency means your district is open, accessible, engages your community. Vallecitos Water District provides easy access to district information through mediums such as your website and social media, because at the end of the day, the district's business is the people's business, and you are proud to do this. And so earning this certificate means your district has completed a comprehensive, as we talked about, transparency checklist that included general website and outreach best practices, demonstrates a tangible acknowledgement of your district's transparency efforts, shows your district's commitment to being open and accessible to the public, and displays a commitment to engaging the public and creating greater awareness of your activities to your constituents. So on behalf of the board and staff of the Special District Leadership Foundation, it is my pleasure to present the District Transparency Certificate of Excellence to Vallecitos Water District, recognizing your efforts to promote transparency in the operations and governance of your district. So congratulations to everybody.
Thank you.
If I would have got the memo, I would have worn my red Spooner shirt, so congratulations. Good to see you, sir. How are you? Congratulations. Congratulations. I don't even need to be in the picture, actually. All right. I have to. You're making me do it.
But there's 6, so let's everybody slide this way, so I've got the
Yeah,
districts.
you want to get the logo in the
Yeah,
back,
I
yes.
do. Okay, first couple with Chris's photo. Director Gross, that in a little, there you go.
Wait,
Thank
sorry,
you for
hold on,
doing
hold on, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want the reflection.
Director Hernandez, do you want your glasses on? They're giving a little bit of a, yeah.
That better?
Right? I'm right. Thanks for backing me up, Veronica. Okay, that's Chris's pictures.
Does my shirt look okay?
There's another Chris.
I'm not standing beside you because we would clash.
Everybody's smiling because we just won a big award. And now let me get this 1970s camera. There you go. Let me try again. Awesome, thank you so much.
Congratulations. Oh, of course, anytime. Okay, you got it.
Before we move on, I just want to compliment the staff and in particular finance and the public information conservation. That was a very heavy lift, and this is not one of those awards where you just pay money and you get the recognition. This requires a lot of effort, a lot of staff time, and it's something that's very important. So thank you. Thank you to my colleagues on the board for your continued vigilance and undergoing the training that we all must go through, and we'll keep pressing forward. Thank you. I believe the consent calendar is up next. May I have, I'm sorry, yes, one more, okay, yes. The Vallecitos 2024 Landscape Contest Award winner, Mr. John Allen.
Chris. Thank you so much, President Boyd Hodgson. So we've had a landscape contest, as far as I can see, records show back until 2013. So we've been doing this for quite a long time. This year, John Allen and his partner Bob Whiting are our landscape contest winners. They're going to get a lawn display, gift basket, and then the really important thing, the $250 gift certificate to Green Thumb Nursery. And before I invite them to come up and speak, Alicia on my public information team went out and did a video of the property, and I'd like to share that with you right now.
Hi, my name is John Allen. I live in Vista, just outside the city limits. I've lived down here about 17 years, and I got inspired by a gentleman that raised cycads and retrieved cycads from all over the world and grew them and sold them. And so that's where I kind of got the bug for cycads. And then I branched out into palms and cactus and aloes and you name it. I believe in water conservation without a doubt. I realize that Southern California has a limited supply of water and ever-increasing population. I don't know how my usage compares with other customers, but I think it's fairly low considering it's 1 acre. This was my first project with drip system. You just kind of learn by doing. That's what I did. And the drip system, it really minimizes the water and puts it right to the plants where you need the water instead of just wasting it on unused areas. You make some mistakes here and there, but you can fix it usually with the drip system pretty easy. I think the landscape, because there's so many different kinds of plants and plants that people have never seen before, they really find it interesting. And especially when the cactus bloom in the springtime, it's really interesting. It's really nice to sit down and sit back at the end of a day after you work and enjoy what you've done, watch things grow. And I guess it is close to a small botanic garden. It attracts a lot of attention when people come out. There's lots of wildlife here. Rabbits, coyotes, hawks of all kinds, hummingbirds, roadrunners, the list goes on and on. I really enjoyed living down here. It's one of the best moves I think I've ever made. I've collected a lot of plants along the way, raised plants from seeds, sold plants on the side. It's just not a business, it's just kind of a hobby and a love for growing plants. It's so peaceful and quiet, so I couldn't wish for anything better.
How lovely.
Come on up. Come on up, Bob. Maybe you can just tell them a little bit about your whole process.
Okay, I've
Oh,
lived there about 17. We lived there about 17 years, and I virtually replaced all of the old plants. There's just a couple bottle palms that were there originally, but all the hedges and junipers we removed and dug lots of holes. And the decomposed granite was quite a challenge to dig, but we had some help there too. Anyway, it's just been a lifelong process of revising and revamping, and sometimes we think less is better. And so I've had some trees removed due to twig blight. Lisa helped determine what the cause of my tree was that was dying. And eventually I had about 5 trees removed due to this twig blight. I had never heard of it before. And anyway, so that reduces the work of trimming and whatever. But anyway, we've really enjoyed living there, and it's at the end of a nice, quiet cul-de-sac. It's just, like I said, it's been a real process and learning process as well. And finding the right drippers for the drip irrigation so that they work and don't fail. And anyway, we've really enjoyed living there. And I didn't set out to win a water contest. I just set out to, design a landscape that we would enjoy and maintain. And anyways, I'm thankful that your district has sponsored a water contest like this. I heard about it from a friend of mine, and so that's what the motivation was that we applied. So anyway, thank you again for your staff, and they're wonderful ambassadors for the water district.
Bob, did you want to add anything?
Oh, yeah, everything is on drip. There's a few misters in the back patio there for hanging plants and that type of thing. But there's half-inch water tubing all over with quarter-inch lines coming off of it with emitters to each of the plants. And so I've tried to minimize the water usage, and it's been so far a real success. So,
Great.
any questions?
I do have a question. Do you have any landscape design background, or did you start with a plan and then build out and do it in
I
blocks?
had no experience with drip irrigation before until I moved down here from Orange County. And I just laid out, I first planted the plants, and then I put the water tubing around to each plant. So I kind of designed everything, and Bob had a lot of input too. Like I say, I was a cycad nut, and he encouraged me to branch out and have cactus and other kinds of plants. So anyway, it's just a real nice landscape. I'm very satisfied with it. Still renovating, and in the process of having mulch spread over the 1 acre. I did that about 7 years ago, and it's worn out. So we decided it's time for new mulch. So I'm about halfway through that. Of course, I'm getting help because I can't do that at my age. But anyway, that'll help minimize water too.
Thank you.
I had a quick question. If you don't mind me asking, what is the water savings? I mean,
Pardon?
what's your water savings, if you don't mind me asking?
My-
What's your water savings month to month or over the
Oh
year?
gosh, I don't know what the savings are because I had nothing to compare it with. So it's just, I guess.
But you're able to
whatever I
pay your
use.
monthly bill?
Pardon?
You're okay to pay the monthly bill?
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah. I can afford that.
Okay. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay. Anyway, thank you again, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So as part of, you get it. Yeah, you need Bob.
Thanks so much.
There's your first place landscape contest winner, and this is the important one. This is the one that's in my pocket. It's $250 to Green Thumb Nursery. So
Oh, fantastic.
go get another side.
My favorite nursery.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome here. Thanks for coming, you two.
Okay, now we're moving on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as posted?
Move to approve.
Okay. Vice President Pinnock moves.
Second.
Second by Director Ellithorpe. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, thank you. The consent calendar passes. Moving on to action items. Our first agenda item 2.1, naming the facility at North Twin Oaks Reservoirs.
Yeah, so I'll start us off. Obviously, James is not here, and he's disappointed. He wanted to be here to probably roast Ed a little bit, but he knew time is ticking to schedule the celebratory event and to order the plaque and everything, so he didn't want to wait to the next board meeting. He did ask me to read a few words on his behalf, and since this is James, this will be brief. First off, congrats, Ed. As everyone knows, Ed has announced his retirement for the end of the year. I'm sorry I could not be here today to personally present this item to the board. It isn't that often that I can have Ed here as a captive audience and embarrass him. Ed has dedicated his professional life to Vallecitos and communities we serve and the water industry as a whole. He has collected a well-deserved accolades for his leadership and technical accomplishments over the years. I have always admired his selfless dedication, leadership style, and integrity. The Twin Oaks Reservoir Facility is considered the district's most prized water facility. It boasts two of the largest tanks of its kind, the ability to serve 80% of our customers by gravity, and critical storage. I cannot think of someone more deserving than Mr. Pedrazi of renaming this facility at the district. Thank you, Ed, and let me know if you want to delay your retirement. Yeah. So for myself, I will say that there's no bigger personality than Ed. He is larger than life, and his heart and dedication to the district is of equal size. I'm going to absolutely miss his email memes, his endless movie quotes. No one can top him except for Chris Robbins. The ability to bring levity to any tense situation, even EOC type events. His DJ horror stories that we both share. Ed, I will miss your passion to the district, and I think we're going to be a little less bright when you leave. So there's a leadership phrase that says, people first, mission always. And I think you embody that phrase. I'm getting a little teary. My hope is that the next generation of employees coming up will take note. And if you're going to serve the public and retire in this service, this is how you do it. Now, before I turn it over to Chris to present, I do want to tell you that when staff was discussing the concept of what facility would be renamed the Pedrazi facility, we asked Ed, what would you like to be have your name? And this is what he came up with. So this is why we love Ed. He's not only funny, but very, very humble. So, but we said, no, we cannot name this facility because the construction guys use this. So we came up with a more appropriate facility, and that is the Twin Oaks Reservoir Facility. And this is, I think if Anthony can show it on the screen, this facility is quite, you know what, I think I can actually do it right from here. Yeah, so that's the facility, and I believe this is the control facility that will probably bear the plaque. So, and with that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you so much, District Engineer, President Boyd Hodgson, board members. Ed's been here since 1989. He's worked with a lot of employees. That's 35 years, a lot of different staff. I'm really honored to be the one that gets to sit here and talk to you about this. Vallecitos has had a history of naming buildings. Don McDougall is here, and previously we had named the office over at Meadowlark, the Don McDougall facility. So it's just something that's kind of something that we do from time to time. Ed began his career in 1989. He was a utility worker in construction department. Subsequently promoted 5 times, Water Systems Operator 1, Water Systems Operator 2, Senior Water Systems Operator, Water Operations Supervisor, and then his current position as O&M Manager. Squirming yet? Okay. He's been mentoring the next generation of water and wastewater professionals for the last 20-odd years. He was a founding member of the regional internship program that we work with the San Diego County Water Authority. Our current intern that's coming is going to be part of that program, as well as Vallecitos program. And Ed has been very supportive of the intern program that we do specifically with Palomar. In fact, a lot of the scheduling and making sure our intern gets to all the different departments falls upon Ed. He's very supportive and very helpful to me in the intern program. He served as the program coordinator over at Palomar for years. He taught classes over at Palomar for 15 years. He set up what's their facility there. They have an outdoor demonstration facility. We had a video with some of our interns in there, and Ed was looking at it and going, yeah, that's the stuff I put in back in the day. It's still there. He's got AA degrees in both water and wastewater technology. Recently in 2023, he was the Association of California Water Agencies Excellence in Leadership Award. There's so many things I could say, but I'm going to focus on one of the real recent ones. Is we've had chlorine gas here at the district for years, and it's been Ed's effort to get that stuff removed and use safer techniques and products, and we finally have reached that point. We no longer have it on our properties, and that's a big deal. That was a goal that Ed had, and we're all really happy that it got done before he retired. Fiscal impact wise, probably $1,000. I think Don's was $750, but a few years go by, and next thing you know, it's another $250 to get a properly engraved plaque. Personally, some notes that I wrote to myself that I wanted to make sure I shared was organizations have a culture. We have kind of a culture here, and it's a good culture. You know, there's some new employees that we got introduced to, and Ed really is where a lot of our culture comes from. It flows from Ed. Ed could probably do anybody's job here. I don't think there's a position classification within the district that he could not do. He has an extremely sharp sense of humor. I think I've been cut by it a few times. He has a deep commitment to the district itself, an unquestioned work ethic. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think he's the best proofreader that we have here. And I'm the PR guy, and he's better than me. And when I really want to make sure things get proofread right, I send it to Ed. Hey, can you look this over? He's as good as it gets. Ed, when he has his O&M meetings, talks about communication and how important it is to communicate. And I was realizing the other day, if I call Ed and it goes to voicemail and I think, oh, I'll just email him or talk to him later, he'll call me back. I mean, that's the kind of communicator he is, that he sees on his phone that he missed a call and he calls you back. Now, maybe he just does that for me, but I think he does it for everybody. I met Ed at a water careers event out at Cuyamaca College while I was working for the city of San Diego, and I instantly liked him and thought, what a neat guy this would be to work with. And a couple years later, the job opened here, I got selected, and I sent him an email, and he remembered who I was, which made me feel really good. Ed is a funny guy. Probably, it's hard for me to say this, but probably the only guy here that's funnier than me. He also has those memes. I don't know if the board gets to see that, but part of what makes Ed's memes so funny is how fast he does it. It's sort of incomprehensible. You send him something, and all of a sudden you're looking at a meme popping up on your email, and it's completely appropriate and hilarious. And I think I've said enough. I think I've made him squirm enough. The recommendation is to go ahead and name the facility up at Twin Oaks after Ed Pedrazi, and I hope you would support that.
Thank you. Thank you for those words. I'm supposed to ask, do we have any public speakers for this agenda item? Do we have any public speakers? Are there any questions from my colleagues or comments? Mm-hmm.
Not a question, but a comment. I'd like to support the staff's recommendation. It'd be my pleasure.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, and I will second. Is there any discussion? Any other words from my colleagues? Go ahead.
Oh, I've been here 12 years and obviously known Ed the whole time. A magnificent staff member, representative of our district, none other than Ed. You have a question, if he's not right there answering it, he'll get right back to you with an answer. So I just know that he's a standard for the rest of the staff. So thank you, Ed. We're going to miss you. Sure you don't want to stick around for another 35? Okay, fine.
Okay, yes?
On the other side of that, I've been here for 2 years, and Ed has made me feel like I've been here for 12 years with the amount of knowledge he's imparted on me. And I can tell you that I don't think that there's 1 inch of pipe or resources in this whole area that Ed cannot tell you about. So I've seen his spreadsheets, and they are the most exceptional organized work that I've seen. And I can't compliment you enough, and we're so thankful to have you here, and I fully support this as well.
Anything?
Of course. I've been here 4 years, so in between. And, yeah, just the years that I've known Ed, yes, you know every pipe, you know every valve, you know everything to turn, but it seems like you're more of a people person as well. And how there's a saying that says, don't let a problem to be solved be more important than a person to be loved. And you're pretty good about that. You solve problems, but you love people and you help them out. So that's very noticeable. Thank you. And I think you get a lot of it from that young lady sitting next to you. It's been kind of sweet to see you sit together, and thank you for your support of Ed in all of this as well. I know it's hard, he's put a lot of years, a lot of hours in, so thank you for all your sacrifice that you put forth as well. And just congratulations, well-deserved, and we sure appreciate you.
Thank you. I echo everything that my colleagues have said, and I want to just amplify what Chris Robbins said, that you are very affable. When people meet you, they like you instantly, and I felt that way too when I first met you. And I just want to say congratulations. I know we're going to do this all again at the end of the year when you retire, but I think it's necessary because that's how we all feel about your service here and your expertise. We've all benefited from it, and I'm grateful for that. I personally have learned so much from you, and I'm so happy that General Manager waited until I was back to bestow this award. So thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Okay. Okay, well, let's vote quickly as Mr. Pedrazzi is making his way to the podium. Let's vote.
That was the one on the trailer, right? Not the other one.
Vote.
Oh, yeah, we set you up.
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, this is the second time that Chris Robbins has not listened to me when I said no. We were discussing this when we were working on Don's dedication down at Meadowlark, and that's when he brought up, well, what are we gonna name after you? And that's when I sent him the picture. I said, well, the construction crew guys already picked something out. And I'm a little disappointed that that's not what's happening, because we got rid of that.
We're still gonna do that.
Yeah, we're still doing that. When James told me this a couple weeks ago, my first comment was no. I was like, no, you can't do that. I don't deserve this. And of course, he told me that was not my decision to make. And then I went home and I told my wife Brenda about it and said, I'm very embarrassed and I don't feel deserving of this. And she said, shut up, suck it up, and just say thank you. And well, I haven't been married for 34 years successfully without listening to my wife. So I'd like to thank everyone that's here supporting me, and thank you to the board for this incredible honor. I'm very humbled, and Chris, you'll get yours. So I don't want to extend the meeting, so thank you so very much. I truly appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you can all go.
Thank you all for joining. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to agenda item 2.2. award of professional services agreement for condition assessment services for the ductile iron pipe condition assessment, Cluster 8 and 9 project.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Well, I'm extremely disappointed that everyone left for this item. I think equally as exciting. But I will take this item, and Assistant O&M Manager Bennett will assist me, as he's been helping me out, even though he's no longer the Asset Management Supervisor. But he and I have been working on this project for quite a while. So the item for the board to consider is the award of professional services agreement for condition assessment services for the ductile iron pipe condition assessment, Cluster 8 and 9 project. And you know we love long names. So, and this is covered on your board packet beginning on page 43. So you may recall the presentation that Eric gave back in April on the asset management plan. And one of the main strategies in the asset management plan is how to manage future replacement costs. And to do that is through performing condition assessments on the appropriate systems, as we say, replacing the right pipe at the right time. And when we evaluate the pipelines that leak the most, it turns out that small diameter residential distribution ductile iron pipe is one of the main culprits. And ductile iron pipe represents about 28% of the potable water system that the district has. So in 2021, which is before the AMP, so we've been working on this for a while, the district created ductile iron pipe condition assessment pilot project, and that project was to group the district's ductile iron pipe system into 25 clusters, which you see here on page 44. And these clusters are based on pipe location, pipe age, number of breaks, and other criteria to really assign risk. And the pilot project, it determined that clusters 8 and 9 are the highest priorities. And by the way, that's in the San Leo Hills area. Yes. And that is based on the soil. So then what we did next is did soil corrosivity. I always struggle on that word, corrosivity tests. We also did acoustic leak monitoring in that system. And there was nothing real actionable other than the fact that, yes, the soil is corrosive. Yes, this area does have the highest number of breaks. And we need to move on now to that next phase of the program, which is now inserting in-pipe assessment tools. And the results from that pilot project was presented to the Engineering and Equipment Committee in January 2023. That was for information only, but just to let the committee know that, hey, we're moving on this project, we're spending money, and this is what we're getting out of it. And we're moving through the process of getting more information to make those decisions. So fast forward to 2024, we've been working with our as-needed consultant, V&A consultants, on a work plan for this next phase. The work plan, which is a technical document, was recently completed, and you can see here on page 45 of the board packet, it outlines 3 representative segments in San Leo Hills, and those are highlighted in red, green, and yellow. And these are areas, they represent about 6,700 feet of 8-inch ductile iron pipe, and they are going to be now targeted for using remote field technology. This work plan also recommended PICA as a preferred vendor best suited to meet the specifics of the district's system. They've got a strong record, a strong field record, and the tool that we are going to use is called the HydroSnake tool. And you can see the figure there. Figure 3 shows you sort of what that tool looks like in the pipe and how it creates a magnetic field from a exciter coil, which transmits, and then a detector coil which receives, and really it measures the wall thickness of the pipe, of metallic pipe. And from that we can gauge where there are issues in the pipe. And figure 4 kind of shows what that, I don't know, I think Eric, somebody referred to it as like a slinky shaped kind of tool, and they insert it through a fitting through a hydrant. And that's kind of what that process looks like. So PICA did propose a scope and fee to the district of $149,000, and that is to assess all 3 segments. And this includes a 40% discount in their mobilization and demobilization, because they're also working with Rancho California Water District in Temecula to do some similar work. So we're going to kind of share some of those MOB costs, which is really significant because this company is out of Canada. So there's significant mobile, even though they have a presence in California and really the United States, a lot of their equipment and technology is coming out of Canada, so there's significant mobilization costs. So the district staff will be responsible for isolating the water system. They're going to be doing traffic control, managing the water flow and discharges. They're going to be doing, our staff will be doing water quality testing through this process, also coordinating with the public and the homeowners associations. Because through this assessment, customers will be temporarily interrupted from service for about 8 or 10 hours. This work will be performed over 3 days. And so there's going to be a lot of messaging to customers, a lot of preparatory work to make sure that people can make the appropriate accommodations when the work is scheduled. Once the assessment is complete, we're going to further work with VNA on the results. We do have a task order, $20,750 task order to evaluate the results, determine what next steps we will go from there. You know, whether that's rehab the pipe, replace the pipe, or continue to monitor it and try to squeeze more life out of the system. And this is really one of the future goals of the asset management department, is to really bring that post-assessment expertise into the district. We currently don't have this expertise in-house, but that's, as we develop this program over years, that's James's vision for my department, and that's something that we want to execute. So the budget for this project as a whole is approximately $1.4 million. We have $353 allocated this fiscal year. You can see the fiscal impact on page 47. And you can see that we've got a projected surplus for this fiscal year. So with that, staff does recommend to the Board of Directors authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with PICA in the amount of $149,000 for condition assessment services for the ductile iron pipe condition assessment project, and I can take any questions you have.
Thank you for that presentation and that explanation. Do we know what days this is going to take place if we do implement it? Do we know an approximate time frame?
So tentatively, we're looking at September, and we're trying to work with them as they schedule both our work and the work for Rancho California Water District. So the goal is to try to reach out to customers about 2 weeks in advance, to the associations and to the customers themselves, and then we do our standard 48-hour notice. We're going to be doing letters, we do door hangers, and we also do what we call a reverse 911 call. So you never always reach 100%. There's always people on vacation or what have you, but we make every effort. In fact, we're going to be working with customer service so they know what's happening. So if calls do come in, they'll be able to explain it. And we're going to be working with Chris and his team on some sort of a social media outreach. And we've also been talking to the city of San Marcos to let them know what's going on. So we're going to do our absolute best to get the message out.
Okay, great. Thank you. What questions do my colleagues have? Yep. Dr. Ellithorpe?
Yeah, I think I've asked this before, but what percentage of the total pipeline does the ductile iron comprise?
So about 28% of our water system is ductile iron pipe.
And the other materials, do we have pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe?
We do, and that's mainly our those are our 1950s lines.
Right.
And those are our main transmission mains. Mostly what we have is a lot of PVC.
Right.
Yeah.
And do we have welded steel?
And I should say also asbestos cement pipe, as you know.
Yeah, I was just curious. I assume we're taking asset management steps on these other materials as well.
Yes, and in fact, Eric and I are working with a new company, some new technology where they induce a tone into the water column for steel pipe, and they measure frequency and are able to translate that into thickness of pipe, and they can do this very non-invasively. And so we're looking at that, working with the vendor for our big PCC pipe.
Yeah, are we able to take advantage of the Water Authority's technology for acoustic monitoring?
Yeah, in fact, they were working with this firm.
Okay.
And reached out to all the member agencies. Eric and I and some other folks attended and got sort of some firsthand exposure to it. And we said, hey, this is good stuff. We haven't seen the price yet, but we like that it's non-invasive. It's not going to affect customers, and we can do it over a large area. The particular area we're going to focus on is, I think, a little over 7 miles. So we're excited, and the Water Authority is definitely one of the leaders in looking at this kind of technology.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks. It's a relatively new area. Why was the dip pipe chose for this area when it was? It's got to be like, what, 20 years ago? 25 years ago?
Yeah, ductile iron pipe typically has a lifespan of about 75 years. So when we started first seeing these breaks coming, it was really kind of a surprise, what's going on? And that's why this area was targeted. And what we believe is, one, the grading operations in this area, the soil is very corrosive. They used, I want to say, lime-treated cement base in a lot of the roadways, which just exasperates corrosion in metal pipe. The other thing is, these neighborhoods were all built during the boom, right? Things were happening very fast, and I believe quality control was not probably the best. And when we look at where most of the breaks occur, it's typically dry utility crossings of our mains. So when they built these roads, our systems go in first because they're deeper, and then these dry utilities come in later. And we believe that when a lot of these dry utilities came in, they nicked the pipe. They scratched the surface, they tore the protective bag, that sleeve that protects the pipe, and that's usually where the corrosion is. It's exterior corrosion, it's not interior corrosion. So that's typically where we find these, and there's no way to come back on these companies. This is all, in the recent past, but you know what I mean. So it's just something that we've noticed, and that's, I think, the reason why you're seeing it in this particular neighborhood the most.
Got it. Thank you for that background.
Is this also the project where we're using the no-des trailer?
That is our plan.
Okay.
I will tell you, we just met as a team today, and we may not use it, and that's just because the no-des trailer creates a suction, is pulling the water column, and we're going to be pushing this device with line pressure, and we're afraid that this may introduce an additional element of an additional variable to the process.
Okay.
So we're reevaluating that, but I think we're going to actually flush these lines with the no-des trailer in advance of this assessment, to get it, to just make sure that it's clean, and that, I'm hoping, will help when we actually do the assessment. It'll go quicker, because one of the things we're conscious of getting the service back onto the customers. So.
Right. And maybe you can talk a little bit about the benefit of using that particular piece of machinery regarding water conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really an amazing piece of technology for conservation, because it's traditional operations. You're flushing the line, you're discharging the water into the storm drains. You're losing the water, and the no-des allows you to recirculate, clean it, rechlorinate it, and put it back in the system. So it's 100% savings, and it's a game changer for conservation. And water loss, as you know, we have to report to the state annually what our water loss is, and this shows the state as well as our community that this is an important aspect of what we do, water conservation, and this is really putting those words into action. And the board approved the budget to acquire this device, and so we thank the board for allowing us to move forward with that mission.
Thank you. It seems really exciting, this particular piece of equipment, as it was explained to me, because it's like a treatment facility on wheels, and it just treats the water and we don't discharge it back into the storm drain and then into the ocean. It's not wasted water. We can recover it and reuse it. So I wanted you to touch on that. So thank you for doing that. Okay. Any other discussion?
I have a couple quick questions.
Yep, go ahead.
Just 3 quick ones. So 100% of these lines
Three
are...
quick ones?
3 quick ones. Really, they really are, I think. They're all inherited lines? I mean, these are all inherited from the developer 20+ years ago?
Yeah, developer installs them, and then once it's completed and passed its inspection, then it becomes a district asset. It's 100% our responsibility.
And those are the ones that we're replacing?
Yeah, the contractor is responsible for about a 1-year warranty, and then after that, it's ours.
There was a $7,500 daily standby contingency. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's basically, in this situation, we, the district, we're the contractor, we're the prime, they're our sub. So if we fail to isolate our valves, not get the system ready for their work,
Oh, okay.
they're now on standby. So, so just so you know, transparency as it is, I did budget one standby event. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but I kind of budgeted that in there, and we're going to do everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen. In fact, we go out, we exercise the valves in advance, make sure that can happen, that, you know, that we can get a positive shut off. We work with PICA and making sure we have the supply lines, because again, we're the district staff, our operations staff will be performing.
So we're acting as the general on this,
Yeah,
with them as our sub, and
yeah, we're taking on all the
that's why that's
liability. all
built
the
in
risk.
if we
Yeah.
don't have,
Yep,
okay.
that's what that's about.
Roadways or something's not,
Something happens that nobody
Okay.
expects, or certainly that they don't expect.
gotcha, okay. And then PICA, we've never used them in the past, do we have any history, has any other agency used them?
Yeah, so PICA's been around, they're really the founders of remote field technology. In fact, their founder, Dave Russell, didn't invent, but this technology actually was invented by Michael Faraday in the 1800s, but it was really put into practical application in the 80s. And PICA was the forerunner of that. We have used them about, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. They did an assessment for the High Point development, which all had duct line pipe. That was paid for by the developer, but the district participated and inspected and was a part of that process. I myself have hired PICA when I worked for another agency to perform an assessment on steel pipe, larger pipe actually, and I found that company to be very just really forthright in performing the duties and services, really good to work with. They've got all these scientists that work for them, and they'll come and explain to you the results, which just looks like crazy lines on paper when you see it, and you're just like, what is this? But really, really smart folks, and good to work with, and really a leader in the industry.
Perfect. See, 3 quick ones. Good job. Thank you for the answers.
Not quick answers, but sorry.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Okay, Vice President Pinnock moves. I have a second.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Director Grosset. If there's no further discussion, please vote. And the motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.
Agenda item 2.3, Professional Services Agreement, Amendment Number 1, Approval for Environmental Construction Phase Services for the Meadowlark Water Reclamation Facility Chlorine Contact Tank Expansion Project.
Okay, I'm not used to talking this much, but I'm going to present this item as well. So normally, Senior Engineer Ryan Morgan would present this item, but he has a prior engagement, so I'm going to fill in. So the item for the board to consider is the Professional Services Agreement Amendment Number 1, Approval for Environmental Construction Phase Services for the Meadowlark Water Reclamation Facility Chlorine Contact Tank Expansion Project. And this is covered beginning on page 48 of your board packet. I know the board's very familiar with this project, and the purpose is to expand the chlorine contact tanks, what we call the CCTs, and this is to give us the ability to produce more recycled water in the future. This project is also a tactical plan initiative for the district. It was last year to design the project, and this year the tactical initiative is to, I think we want to try to complete about 75% of the construction phase. So this is clearly a big goal for the district. Now, you may recall, as a member of the North San Diego Water Reuse Coalition, Vallecitos did secure $4.3 million in state and federal grants specifically for this project. And this was not something that would be possible if we had gone it alone. It's really because we partnered with 7 other agencies in this coalition that we were able to make these grants possible. So that's the power of partnership. In April, the board did award Rincon Consultants a contract to amend our final program EIR. This was completed, and then we combined this project with the conversion to sodium hypochlorite project, if you recall, and we bid this out together in May. And then in June, the board did award the construction contract for this project to Pacific Hydrotech for $10.5 million, and that's what this project construction value is. At the same time, the board did also award construction management services, engineering construction phase services for this project. But one task that we were still negotiating at that time was archaeological and paleontological monitoring, reporting and training that's required for this project. It's required by the state to meet our certified environmental document requirements. So working with Raycon, we did negotiate a time and material price of $126,743 for these services. But to let you know, we are still working on additional costs, and we have Native American monitoring, reporting, and training requirements for the state as well. And so we are currently working directly with the San Luis Rey Band of Mission Indians for this particular work. Still working on finalizing that, and when we do, we will bring it back to the board if it's appropriate based on the cost. So the fiscal impact for this services is shown on page 49. You can see that we've added the $126,000 line item, and we've also got a placeholder for the Native American monitoring that we're still working on. This project is paid through recycled water rates, also through the reimbursement grants that we've got from the state and the feds. So interestingly, the budget for this project, for the budget that was approved by the board, was $13.7 million. However, right after that is when the board awarded the construction contract, and we rearranged the budgets because we combined those two projects. And so the revised budget was reduced to $12.8 million, which creates a deficit now for these services of about $250,000. So evaluating the requirements of the state services that we need to perform and the budget, staff does recommend to the board to increase the CCT expansion project budget by $250,000 for a total of $13,043,109, and to authorize the general manager to execute amendment number 1 with Raycon in a time and materials not to exceed amount of $126,743, and that's for construction phase environmental mitigation measure implementation services. And I can answer any questions you have.
Okay, what questions do my colleagues have?
One.
Yep.
One little one. So are we expanding the footprint? Is that why we're having issues with the Native American?
So in the environmental review process, they survey the area, not just the footprint, but the surrounding area for evidence of Native American presence. And they did find, I believe it's called flint chips, which are the chips that you create when you create arrowheads, and I believe some pottery. So what they've shown is that the Native American Indians were present in this area, and because where the CCTs were built, it was basically an unclassified fill that was never evaluated back in the 50s, 60s? Yeah. So because of that kind of criteria, they say, hey, there's a presence in the area, you're sort of digging into unclassified fill, you need to have a monitor present. Now, that being said, it's only during the excavation, so it's not like they're there the whole time. It's only when we're digging, and this project will have some utility relocations, and we are expanding the footprint. We're building a third contact tank, so it's really during those exclusive operations.
But on the, where the asphalt already is, right?
Yeah, so
Going
we're kind of
north?
going north into that
Right.
road. We're kind of cutting into that road.
Okay, but we're not going kind of east or whatever.
Right, yeah, we're not getting outside of the footprint of the plant or
okay.
anything, or into brush or anything. And it seems sort of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I
That's a good thing.
talked to our consultants and sort of challenged them a little bit that I may have used the word ridiculous, possibly. But at the end of the day, to protect the district, to meet the requirements of the state, it's a bit of a insurance policy, if you will, that we don't get into trouble with the state.
Because it wasn't previously done,
Correct.
not because we're expanding outside of our,
Well, the work triggers the monitoring.
right.
And that's identified with a state certified document, which we're required to do by California law. This is the CEQA process. So we're sort of bound by that. We negotiate, we challenge, but at the end of the day, we have to meet the statutes.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I noticed in the board packet, it looks like, and I think you said this, we don't know exactly what the estimate will be from the San Luis Rey Band of Mission Indians just yet. So you've budgeted $65,000, and that brings the project deficit to 231-ish, but you're asking for 250. Is that because of that uncertainty, or a little bit of padding, or what? Why doesn't the math square?
Yeah, it's a little bit of uncertainty, and it's me being an engineer. I like round numbers.
Okay.
So just figured, let's make it a round number, and that sort of gives us a little bit of extra comfort if the numbers come in higher.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question, sorry.
Yep.
So by this expansion, it's going to increase our capability by how much, if you don't mind, if you know?
Yeah, so currently we have the ability to produce a 5 MGD, 5 million gallons of recycled water a day, and this will expand that ability to 6.5.
So we're getting 1.5 mil.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, you may have said this, but I wasn't quite following the grant money that was brought in. How does that play into this list of expenditures?
Yeah, so just from an accounting perspective, the grants are applied to the project, but the board has to budget 100% of the cost. So we can't say, hey, we've got a $13 million project, but 4.3 is going to be paid for by the state through reimbursements. We really only have a $7,000 project or $6,000 project. So you know what I mean? So we can't. So that's why we budget for the full amount, even though we know, we have assigned these grants to these costs. In fact, we're getting those reimbursements quarterly. So every quarter, we send the administrator of the grants our billing for consultants, our staff time, and then we get a check 3 months later. And that's
Okay.
going to happen throughout the life of this project. So after this project is done, accepted by the board, we will still be getting those costs coming in, a piece at a time.
So it is feasible that in the end, this 13 million-ish project might be reduced by 4.5.
Yeah, it's really like a $9 million project. And when
Okay.
all said and done as far as costs.
Okay.
And just to reiterate, the ratepayers are not paying for this project. This is paid for through the grants, like you said, and also through recycled water rates, which are paid for by our 2 recycled water customers, Carlsbad and Levenheim.
Okay,
So
thank
that
you
I
for
wanna-
clarifying that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? No? Go ahead.
Real quick question, do we ever get requests from Native American tribes for on-site monitors?
Like they come to us and
Yeah,
ask?
yeah, monitor on site?
No, I don't believe so. Not to my knowledge,
All right,
no.
thank you.
I guess that brought up a question. Does it can be any tribe, any Native American monitor?
I do not believe so. I think it has to be.
It has to be that location,
Yeah, it has to be the
association.
tribe that's
Got it.
sort of, I'm not sure if jurisdiction is the right word, but,
Typically, it has to be a territorial affiliated tribe, and through the AB 52 process, that's where this comes up, and there's a designation.
Yep.
It's, or a request by one of those tribes.
Got it.
That they're culturally connected.
Okay, and then just wanted to say that I did get the construction notice mailer that you had sent out, and all looked good, so it was received by my neighbors and myself.
perfect. I was going to mention that in the GM update, but yeah, those were sent out a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Probably 10 days ago, something like that.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Okay, moved by Director Hernandez. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Director Grosset. If there's no further discussion, let's vote. And the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, I believe we are moving on to reports. General Manager's report.
Oh, sorry, back up. Yes, so just 4 items to cover. One is obviously the GM and the Chief Financial Officer on vacation. They'll be returning Monday, so the ship will be running more smoothly then. I did want to mention that there will be nighttime construction at Deer Springs Road and Saver Lane next Wednesday. That's going to be about Sarver Lane. That's right where Deer Springs makes the curve. And they're going to be doing that next Wednesday, 10:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. And that's obviously because of traffic issues there. And we're going to be doing a repair to an 8-inch AC pipeline. So also was going to mention that residents within 500 feet of Meadowlark were notified of the impending construction. So thank you, Director Grosset, for bringing that up. And lastly, staff is working on a couple of field opportunities for the board to see, one, a waterline rehab on Las Posas, and also the refurbishment of the Coronado Hills water tank. So I'll be sending some emails out shortly, and hopefully we can coordinate if you're interested in seeing those activities. And that's all I have.
Great. Legal Counsel Gippen?
Thank you. Just one brief item. I sent out an email after the last meeting letting you know that the State Water Board had granted the petition to hold the local board's order relative to Lake San Marcos and San Marcos Creek in abeyance that's until April 11th of 2016. All that means is we don't have to file an appeal challenging their decision until that period of time. So we're not expending district legal expense to do that while we're working through the process with the local regional board on the Lake San Marcos cleanup, et cetera. So that was good news. And we're continuing to work with that, and I'm working with General Manager Compel to get a closed session scheduled to provide updates and answer questions. I know this is near and dear to several of your hearts, if not all of you, so we'll keep you apprised.
Great, thank you. San Diego County Water Authority.
Okay, well, at the regular board meeting of July 25th, the board adopted a 14% overall increase to the rates and charges effective January 1st, 2025. And if you recall, about 3 to 4 months ago, when we started the budget process at the Water Authority, we were given several options that range from about 18 to 22%. And after all these months, we finally settled on a 14% number. And maybe I'll let staff comment on what effect that has on our budget deliberations going forward, or our rates.
Yeah, it's definitely been a topic of concern, as you might imagine, in the management team. And James has been is working with Wes on reviewing that process. Wes has already sort of dug in and looked at what options to present to the board on how we're going to address this. And I believe the plan is to come back to committee and present to the committees and solicit feedback and see what options are palatable.
Okay, Encino Wastewater Authority, Director Hernandez.
Yes, we had our meeting on the 24th, and let's see, what did we do? We discussed the technical plan status report, and that was delivered by Jennifer Sabine. And then we also did a preliminary sediment basin rehabilitation project award for the basin, sedimentation basin. Those are the two items. Our next meeting will be on August 28th at 9 a.m. And that was it.
Okay, thank you. Standing committees. Sure, I can take P3. The Public Awareness Policy and Personnel Committee met just last Monday, and several updates to report. First, the Water Academy is a go for October 17th. The format is still a little bit under deliberation, but the Water Academy, which we always get a lot of folks in for, will go forward on October 17th. Secondly, the Vallecitos Water District has been working with the City of San Marcos and San Marcos Fire to put together a letter talking about the benefit to the region of the helipod, which Mr. Pedrazzi was very instrumental in bringing forward into fruition. And so the letter will be, and subsequent rollout of that effort will discuss potential ways that homeowners might be able to show that information to their homeowner insurance policy holders. And I want to express my gratitude for Vice President Pennock, who added some language to that letter based on his area of expertise in insurance holdings, and that might be a benefit to our customers coming down the pike. It's still to be determined. We have our new intern starting from Palomar College, Eric Gonzalez, who I believe is also an intern with the San Diego County Water Authority. So he's double dipping there, and that's fabulous because he'll get different kinds of training. And this is great for our region. Hopefully he will come work for us at some point. But if he doesn't, he will work hopefully for the region, and a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's see. Oh, Palomar College is applying for a grant from the National Science Foundation. Jacob Sheba's group is leading that effort and has asked for us to express some support, and I believe Chris is working with him on that. And let's see, finally, we are going to be making an appearance at the Cal State San Marcos Fall Job Fair and investigating other job fairs in the area so that we can be a presence in the community and try to recruit, retain the best and the brightest, because we do have some openings and we're facing some challenges in that area. And that's all for P3, unless you want to add something.
You nailed it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, director's reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars. I think a few of us were away, so I will pass the mic. Yes.
I attended the CASA conference at 7:31 to 8:02, and it was especially informative for me because it was my first sanitation conference to attend. And I was especially impressed with the caliber of presenters that were offered there. They offered a great wealth of information, especially Dr. Mabel Miguel, who had an excellent keynote on organizational behavior and leadership, specifically on managing challenges in big organizations like this and keeping the organization focused on larger goals. And then what could be interesting for the district itself is the breakout sessions, which there was a great one on energy and energy upgrades, with which we're doing the EV upgrades right now. And it was put on, coincidentally, by Terra Verde, who is working with us on the EV upgrade project. And they were harping on the benefits of leveraging code 4217 to accelerate projects. They also kind of said that it could be broadly, creatively, I believe was the word, applied to other projects, which is something we could consider for certain projects that are slugging along a little bit slowly and need some acceleration. I'm sure Council Gilpin could lend his thoughts on that as well. And then also made a good, I've met Scott at other conferences, but it's my first time kind of connecting with him, and so I have a Encina tour lined up for October, and Scott was telling me their big plans of trying to turn it into a power plant and pay for its own power by powering itself. And, I met some other wastewater managers there that have plants that are doing this already, and then even more so turning it into biofuels, and those biofuels are operating the trucks that are going out into the public and delivering goods and services. And so it's this great big circle, and I think that's where the future lies. So it was a very exciting conference, and I'll let Director Ella Tharp and President Boyd Hodgson continue on the greatness of that conference.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I attended the same conference last week, and you already mentioned some of the great sessions. Some of the ones I attended and was very impressed with were regulation of nutrient levels in wastewater discharges, progressive design build project delivery that you touched on and included some good case studies there. The keynote talk on leadership and managing change at one's agency was very well received and a lot of audience participation. There was also a national perspective on the future of the water sector. And just want to note that all these presentations are available on CASA's website.
Thank you. I also attended the California Association of Sanitation Agencies conference, and this conference consistently exceeds my expectations. It's a smaller, more intimate conference than some of the ones that we go to, like Aqua, and it's full of folks that primarily do wastewater, but also a lot of water folks as well. And I had the pleasure of being a facilitator of a breakout group at the CASA Women's Network meeting, which I really enjoyed. It's a fairly young-ish component of CASA, and they are trying to figure out, what direction they want to go. And I was honored to be able to facilitate that workshop. I also attended the Resilience in Action discussion where we talked about methane-powered microgrids that Director Grosset spoke about. There was a very interesting communications seminar as well, and I know that we talk frequently about how there's a worker shortage, and Goleta Sanitation has a really great recruitment video. And I know that we do great videos here, but I think it's always worth looking at what other people are doing and trying to take some information or inspiration rather. So that's the Goleta Sanitation recruitment video. And there were some that were presented that were award-winning, and some that were very catchy, if not controversial, but they went viral. So that was kind of interesting. And my last point is that we go to these conferences and we come back, and many of us say the same thing, that there is funding to be had. There's so much money out there that if we could just tap into writing those grants and grab that money. And so one of the things that I am very interested in exploring with staff and with any partners on the board that are interested is, how do we make sure we are capturing that money by applying for those grants? And if we don't have that expertise, or if everyone's too busy, maybe we need to look at potentially hiring someone part-time, because there is money to be had. And I know that we already have our budget, we already have our personnel budget in the works, but I think it's worth a discussion to try to make sure that we have the appropriate expertise. Perhaps it's someone that can lobby part-time to get that money for us and also write the grants for us, because I don't think we have the time or the capacity to do that right now. So that's what I would suggest that is going to be on my radar. If any of my colleagues would like to join me and collaborate on that, I welcome that. And that's another big takeaway that I had from the conference. Yes.
I would be delighted to participate in whatever committee that is, because, of course, we all know Carrie Dale used to be the manager in Oceanside. She's now working with the Hulk Group? Hoke. Who is a grant specialist.
Okay.
And they've worked with us in the past, but they've gotten money for others. So it might be someone we want to talk to and see, just as you suggest, what else is out there? How can we get some of that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd be happy to participate.
I think we can only benefit from that, and our customers will benefit too. Okay. Any other comments or yes? Go ahead.
Two quick ones. If you haven't already, try to get us a refund on CrowdStrike for the past month. I know some people have had success with that, and then, 15 grand's 15 grand, so would be cool. And that porta potty trailer, I know that you were hoping it would be named after you, but my question is that adequate? Do we need to replace that? The trailer itself looked a little rusty, and I'm concerned for the people in the field. Doesn't seem like a big expense if we do need to replace it. More than happy to figure that out.
Just a little paint.
Yeah, that porta potty actually was repurposed. So we took the fiberglass shell off of it and then painted the trailer portion of it, and it is now used for a pressure washer system for around our facility
Perfect.
here. So it had sat there for a long time. We knew what we were going to do with it.
Great.
And no, it was not out in the public looking like that. It's just
Glad to hear
it
it.
rusted because it sat there for probably a year before staff had time to convert it.
Perfect.
So, but it was fun to joke.
All right, just making sure everyone's got good facilities out there
No,
in
we
the
do
field.
have good facilities that we bring out to the field.
Wonderful.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you, and
concern.
thank you for everything.
Great. Okay. And I should mention the quarterly board expenses have been included in the board packet. Those are available for the public, and that is part of our commitment to transparency. Any director's comments or future agenda items that anyone would like to raise? Okay. I do have a comment. I want to acknowledge District Engineer Hubbard for being here. Thank you for running the meeting. I think you made some personal sacrifices, I understand, to be here. And as someone who enjoys the outdoors and is a hiker and doesn't like to have those plans interrupted, I can appreciate your being here. So thank you for being here. Any comments? All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you all.